Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Israel Brief, brought to you by Lay of the Land, hosted by me, Rolene Marks, where we take a look at those top stories making headlines. And of course, we continue our intense coverage of Israel's war against Hamas. Now, in the last couple of hours, we have seen a massive barrage of rockets towards the center of Israel, very close to where I live. In fact, just a couple of kilometers away from me, people had to run for shelter. And when we look at the coverage of these rockets, about 1 million Israeli civilians had to run for shelter. Now, Magen David Adom have confirmed that there have been no injuries or impacts. But I just want to explain so that people understand. Every single one of these rockets that are fired from within the civilian infrastructure in the Gaza Strip, most likely within Al-Mawasi, wherever civilians gather for safety, Hamas use that as a strategy to exploit them, fired towards Israeli civilians with the intention to cause damage and to kill us. We Israeli civilians are also under supreme threat right now. Every single one of these rockets are a war crime. Just minutes ago, we had another notification today of a enemy aircraft. This could be a drone or other kind of UAV entering Israeli territory. So we as Israeli civilians are very, very much still feeling the impacts of war some 71 days later, as our brave soldiers are fighting on the battlefield in Gaza, trying to keep it away from civilian centers here. We are still getting rocketed. Very important that you know. So much for no fuel and no electricity and no this and no that. Still plenty of rockets inside the Gaza Strip. Last night, Hamas released another propaganda video, this time with 3 elderly male hostages. Amiram Cooper, Chaim Perry, and Yoram Metzger were captured on film. The only person who spoke was Chaim Perry. Now, Chaim Perry was a peace activist. He used to drive Palestinians who needed medical assistance to hospitals inside Israel. It's very important that people understand that these communities that were hit on the 7th of October, many of those taken hostage were people who were the vanguard of the peace movement, people who more than anybody advocated for peace with the Palestinians. Now, he quoted from a psalm from the Hebrew text saying, "Cast me not off in the years of my old age." This is Hamas propaganda at its absolute worst. There was an appeal for the government to rescue him. And it also goes to understanding just how manipulative, just how Hamas use psychological warfare on Israeli civilians as well as our hostages. 10-month-old, well now he's 11-month-old, little baby Kafir Bibas, the gorgeous little redhead baby, turned 11 months in captivity. We do not want Kafir to have his first birthday as a hostage. Bring them home now. We want the return of all our hostages. For all of those people out there calling for a ceasefire, you should be calling for the immediate release of our hostages. If the hostages are released, if we have them all returned home safely, the war could end tomorrow. Speaking of the war, the IDF announced just a short while ago that they had uncovered in a medical clinic in Gaza, and in fact in Shujaia, the site of a lot of combat in the last week or so, and very, very close to a school, a weapons cache including bombs. Now, what is absolutely extraordinary about this particular find is that they found a UN vest, which goes to show how Hamas operatives or terrorists will take the protective vests, will take the mantle of UN agencies, UN workers, some humanitarian workers, to try pass themselves off as such. Ladies and gentlemen who are watching, we are dealing with the most insidious, evil, manipulative enemy in Hamas. Unfortunately, they seem to be winning the media war out there in the public, as people are buying the propaganda that is coming from them, the accounts of civilian casualties, which we still don't know confirmed numbers. We still don't know who is combatant versus civilian. And it's a war that in Israel where we think those who scream the loudest not necessarily are those who are right. Israel's war is just. It started with that horrific crime against humanity committed against us on the 7th of October. No country would tolerate that. Why should we? Any country whose civilians were so brutally slaughtered the way ours were, and foreign workers who were slaughtered, would want the same. We need you out there to help us be Israel's voice to the masses as they believe the propaganda coming in from Hamas and their useful agents like television stations, Al Jazeera, the BBC, Sky News, and several others. Lloyd Austin, the U.S. Secretary of Defense, is in Israel. He met yesterday with Defense Minister Yoav Gallant as well as Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. In the meeting, Austin reaffirmed that he will not set any timeline for Israel's war against Hamas. This is contrary to some of the reports in the media saying that ties between Israel and the US are starting to get a little bit more cooler, or that the US is getting tired of Israel's war with Hamas. Not true. We have absolute shoulder-to-shoulder support coming from the USA. Austin also said that they will stand by Israel's side as Israel fights Hamas, that this is a non-negotiable, but he did say we need to work towards stabilizing violence in the West Bank. He also called on other states to help us start a coalition to fight off Houthi rebel forces attacking vessels in the Red Sea. And finally, the Mossad chief David Barnea has met with Egyptian officials. This is to talk about what happens to Gaza the day after Hamas. Now, I can tell you, Israel does not want to reoccupy Gaza. Yes, we do have that tiny minority who are saying, let's reestablish Gush Katif and the settlements there. This is not what Israel wants. This is not what the Israeli public wants. But we do want a new security reality. What that looks like, we still don't know yet. And there are countries around the world, including Egypt, that are pushing for the Palestinian Authority to take that over. But this is still a way away, and we will only know what's decided in the months and the weeks to come. So those are your top stories making headlines here on the Israel Brief. Guys, don't forget to check out our website at www.layoftheland.online. Our YouTube channel is at the Israel Brief. Our Facebook page is at Lotl Site. That's at LOTLSITE. We're on X at Lay of the Land 5. I'm Rolene Marks. I want to wish you all a wonderful and peaceful rest of your day. And as I always say, take care of yourselves and take care of each other. I'll catch you tomorrow. Bye for now.